Hi, everybody. Hey, we know it's March Madness, but you know what? It's March Madness for bowling, too. Hey, I filled out my bracket, but let me tell you right now, you want a PT peer, a prime-time performer? What about Bill O'Neill, man? He is absolutely sensational. I'll tell you about O'Neill. You better watch out. This guy can get it done. Hey, you want to talk about another guy? He loves the Jayhawks, baby. I'm talking about Rhino Page. And he went to Kansas. Wow, keep an eye on Rhino Page. Hey, what about Walter Ray Williams? He's got to be the Duke of the tournament. This guy, you can never count him out. And then what about Mike Scroggins? He's on my all-Rodney Dangerfield team. You better give this guy some respect. Hey, it's the finals of the PBAs. Go RVing match play, baby. It's going to be awesome, baby, with a capital A.
Dickie V's bracket in both the NCAA tournament and today's Go RVing Match Play Championship have been blown up. Top seeds falling early and often in both, and we welcome you. Beautiful day here in Norwich, Connecticut for the PBA's version of March Madness. It is the Go RVing Match Play Championship, which mirrors the NCAA tournament's field of 64. And glad you're with us for the third to last event of the season. Rob Stone once again joined by Randy Peterson. And not many folks probably had Northern Iowa or St. Mary's in their Sweet 16. Not many PBA fans had in their Final Four for this tournament Doug Kent and Ryan Ciminelli and Patrick Allen and Brian Kretzer. But that's the way it worked this week, in a week really filled with upsets.
Well, Rob, I had Kansas in my NCAA brackets, and I had Walter A. Williams Jr. in my PBA brackets. Crazy, crazy week this week. 3 of the 4 top seeds were eliminated in the first round. Walter A. Williams Jr., Wes Malott, and Chris Barnes all fell victim to the nature of this format. And in this tournament, Rob, no one is safe. You can catch the wrong player at the wrong time on the wrong pair of lanes and get whooped. But that's the beauty of match play.
The format a little interesting here. 3 games total pinfall, bowling on 2 lanes. Each of the lanes has a different oil pattern. We take a look at our 4 semifinalists that advanced to the Final Four last night. We begin our semifinal coverage with semi number 1, Ryan Simonelli taking on Patrick Allen. Semifinal number 1, Ryan Ciminelli, your number 57 seed. He upset number 18, Tom Smallwood, in the round of 64. Start strong with a strike there in game 1, but in the second frame, issues, Randy.
Well, remember, it's a 3-game total pinfall match on 2 completely different oil patterns. Cheetah on the right lane, Shark on the left. You can see Ryan Ciminelli using 2 different bowling balls, leaves a big split in the second. Fortunate to come back and make the bucket in the third, only to miss a single pin spare in the 4th frame.
Meanwhile, PA, Patrick Allen, back for some knee injuries this season, was dialed in on that left lane, which is the Shark oil pattern. Not so much on the right lane with the Cheetah, though, Randy.
Well, both left-handers struggled on the Cheetah oil pattern on the right lane. Patrick really liking the Shark pattern. But the thing about this match was Patrick Allen stayed out of trouble for the most part. Ryan Simonelli, way too many open frames.
Open frames in the 6th. Open frame in the 7th. Another one here in the 8th and the 10th. An open frame again. His final score, a very disappointing 128, and he admitted the conditions caught him a little off guard.
We haven't bowled on that all week. I don't know what it is. It's like U.S. Open, especially when you come out and you're not ready for it. You don't know. That's why he's got the experience on me. That's why he shot 190 and I shot 130.
Patrick Allen, the number 21 seed, gave back some pins with an open frame in the 9th, but he would ultimately finish game 1 with a score of 188, 60 pins better than Simonelli.
We bowled the Masters in that format, you know, guys up 50, 60 after 1 and even 2 games in their matches, and a lot of guys lose, and it's not because, you know, they bowl bad, just guys bowl big games till the last game, so you're never safe until it's out of the wood mathematically.
PA would have some issues in game 2, only striking once in his first 4 frames, and would leave the big 4 in the 5th.
You know, in watching this match, I just had a feeling that if Brian Simonelli would get lined up on the right lane, the Cheetah Oil pattern, that he could make a really good match of it. And that's exactly what he did. Stringing together a turkey in the 4th, 5th, and 6th.
But just as the tide appeared to be turning in Simonelli's favor, that happens.
Yeah, that's just getting punched in the gut really, really hard.
Simonelli would recover somewhat after that difficult break. Would strike out in the 10th to reduce the deficit from 60 to 48 heading into game 3.
Yeah, but Rob, he only bowled 201, and he didn't really get enough out of that game. He could have bowled a really big game, but due to bad pin carry, it was only 201, 189.
So we head to game 3. Simonelli would open the game with another pocket 710 and would not strike until frame number 6.
And because he wasn't able to put any pressure on Patrick Allen, all the experience in the Allen camp, he put together a 3-bagger in frames 3, 4, and 5.
And that would propel him to a final 71-pin victory, 601 to 530. PA moves on.
You know, Ryan really got off to a bad start. You know, bowled 120. You know, I really didn't take advantage of as much of it the first game as I could have. I only shot 180. I couldn't strike on the right lane, and he actually bowled really well the last 2 games. He got a few bad breaks, a couple 710s, a couple ring 7s. He could have made that match a lot more interesting. Fortunately, I made a good ball change the 3rd game, finally figured out the right lane somewhat, so I was able to hold him off.
Semifinal number 2 had your 50 seed Doug Kent. Where has he been the last 2 years, taking on 27 seed Brian Kretzer? It was an even match through the opening 5 frames of game 1, each player with an open frame. But it was Kretzer who made the first mistake, opening in the 7th frame after leaving the washout.
Yeah, Brian leaves the 1-2-8-10, and when you're going up against a former player of the year and future Hall of Famer, the last thing you want to do is give him any type of opening.
Doug Kent struck on 5 of his last 7 shots to propel himself to a 22-pin lead. 211, 189 through 1. But that lead evaporated quickly in game 2 as Kretzer struck in 7 of his first 8 frames.
Remember, it's a 3-game total pinfall match, and boy, you really have to be impressed with what Brian Kretzer has accomplished this season, working on a straight game and still being able to throw the big hook.
And Kent struggled, suffering open frames in the 3rd and the 8th, and never throwing consecutive strikes until the 10th frame. Kent's big lead, now a 30-pin deficit.
I'm fishing. Let's just hope it goes back the other way. No, I'm fishing. And at the end of the match there, he looked like he kind of lost the left lane a little bit too. So I think the left lane, whoever gets control of the left lane, I think is going to have the advantage.
So let the left lane battle begin in game number 3. Doug Kent, issues early and often in game 3.
Yeah, and it's tough when you can't get to the pocket, and when you do, you don't carry, and then you follow it up with a whip 10-pin. Not good when you're trailing by 30 with 1 game to go.
Cretcher would have no such trouble, striking in 4 of the first 5 frames and stayed clean from the 6th frame on to wrap up the victory and move on to today's title match. Final score, Kretzer took it 625 to 581. So our 3-game total pinfall title match is all set. Number 27 seed Brian Kretzer to take on 21 seed Patrick Allen. 2 mid-majors seeking to continue their Cinderella story. This is the Go RVing Match Play Championship live on ESPN. The Go RVing Match Play Championship is brought to you by Lumber Liquidators, hardwood flooring for less. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. By Bear Aspirin, expect wonders. And by Go RVing. Visit GoRVing.com for a free video. Go affordably. Go RVing. for the third straight season. PBA is here at the Norwich Bowling and Entertainment Center in Norwich, Connecticut. Time now to kick off our 3-game total pinfall title match. Brian Kretzer, the righty, to take on the lefty, Patrick Allen. And Kretzer will start us off.
Title from Dayton, Ohio, Brian Kretzer.
Brian Kretzer made the show 2 weeks ago in Columbus. Lost in the title match to Mike Scroggins. He has never won on the PBA Tour.
Brian doing a lot of really good things. This is the first time in his career he's made back-to-back telecasts.
And was here awfully early this morning. Very prepped for this. He's got a good feeling, and for good reason, about tonight.
Righty versus lefty. Nobody to get in Brian Kretzer's way. And the same holds true for his opponent.
And there is his opponent, Patrick Allen, seeking his first title of the season. Kretzer for the spare. No problems. Kretzer a spare in the first. Up now, Patrick Allen.
Our second competitor. He has 13 career PBA titles, a past PBA Player of the Year from Wesley Chapel, Florida, Patrick Allen.
PA voted the 44th greatest player in PBA history last season, making his second TV appearance this season. He finished third in Wichita at the Pepsi Red, White, and Blue Open. That one back in mid-December. And he starts by leaving the big four.
And Rob, this right lane is going to be an issue all day long for Patrick Allen. It was yesterday for both southpaws. We'll get into why in just a minute.
Right lane, the cheetah oil pattern. Left lane, shark. Not a bad effort. And here is the road PA had to take. Taking down 12-seed Sean Rash in the round of 32. And taking care of fellow lefty Ryan Ciminelli last night in that total pinfall 3-match semifinal. So after that open frame in the first, here's PA to start in the second. On the left lane, which is the shark oil pattern. And you see the carpet on the left that imitates the oil pattern.
Got the 5 out.
You'll see the players going through different equipment, trying to get lined up on two completely different oil patterns, throwing the bowling ball two different ways. You're talking about the longest oil pattern with the shark and the shortest of the named patterns in cheetah. You've got to play both lanes completely different. And the issue for the southpaws on lanes 23 and 24 on the right lane, the cheetah oil pattern, was the topography of lane 24.
Yeah, it's not just the oil that they're dealing with. These are two completely different lanes, almost structurally.
Well, there's something about the topography on lane 24 that doesn't get the cheetah oil pattern to play like it played throughout the rest of the house. The outside part of the lane where it's normally dry, there tends to be a little bit of hang, but only on the left side of the lane.
So Brian Kretzer stepping up in the second, but 9 spare in the first. Again, total pinfall will decide the champion. And we are still seeking our first strike. A late drop with a 7 helps Kretzer. Good-looking crowd on hand here today in Norwich, as always.
I'll tell you, I'm very impressed with what Brian Kretzer has done the last couple of weeks. He's worked very, very hard on his straight game, and you'll see him use the straight game on the right lane. He'll use his bread and butter big slow curve on the left lane. And I think that's really what separates professionals from amateurs, Rob, is being able to make those changes on the fly with conviction.
To the final for Brian Kretzer. Took down Jason Belmonte in a round of 32. Took down another two-hander Cassidy Schaub in the round of 16. We'll talk some two-handed bowling a little bit later in the broadcast. And then Doug Kent had a great run this week, beating him in the semis. Kretzer in the third, up 11. Good break. That one looked to be right through the nose.
Yeah, he got around that one just a little bit, never got it far enough to the right, and it goes through the nose. But that's the characteristics of the shark oil pattern, the longest of the named patterns. You're going to see the players play the deep inside angle. Brian Kretzer right now waiting for the oil pattern to kind of break down, and
he whiffs. It's been a very flat start here for both bowlers and this crowd. Looking for something to jump on.
Well, the good news for Brian Kretzer is it's a 3-game total pinfall match, not just a 1-game. So no matter what happens, you still have time to rebound and get back into the match.
PA, open frame spare. Here he is in the third.
I know.
Oh, it's going to be a battle today, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be a grind out, and primarily for Patrick on that right lane. And we spoke with him last night. We said, you know, you can't play the cheetah pattern like it was meant to be played on lane 24. What are you going to do? He says, well, I've got to find something between like the 9th and 5th board.
Ross takes care of that one. Time now for our Lumber Liquidators Know the Wood, and it's a long one this week.
All week long, the players bowled on cheetah oil pattern on the right lane, 35 feet. They played the outside part of the lane on both the left and right side. And on the left lane throughout the center, the players had to compete on the shark oil pattern. You cannot play the outside part of the lane on the shark oil pattern. You must play in because the amount of oil to the outside part of the lane is so heavy, it's got no chance of finding friction.
Still seeking our first strike of the afternoon. We begin the fourth.
Maybe.
Oh.
God, man. Both times Patrick Allen said maybe, he left the big 4 and the 4-6-10.
Maybe not.
See it right around third arrow. Cuts you right through the nose.
And another open frame for PA. A frustrating start for both of our finalists.
Really?
But both are battling and both can't let this get to their heads.
A lot of frames to bowl. Remember, it's not just a 1-game match. So Patrick Allen will figure it out. He'll change equipment, change angles and speed. He'll figure out a way to get to the pocket.
Kretzer leaves the 10.
And this is the difference in the way Brian Kretzer is playing the lanes. Our CATS computer-aided tracking system provided by the Kegel Training Center shows Brian Kretzer playing the 28th board on the left lane and the 5th board on the right lane. It's two. Wow. Yeah, you want to talk about both ends of the spectrum.
Man. Well, head on over to PBA.com and you can submit your More of What Matters to You fan question of the day. It's brought to you by One A Day. You can direct that question today to Chris Barnes, who will be joining us here in the booth for game number 2. He's the defending champion here in Norwich. So head on over to PBA.com, click on the One A Day logo to submit your fan question of the day. Again, directed to Chris Barnes. Here's Kretzer in the 5th. Still no strikes.
And on that shark oil pattern, let's talk ball speed. Brian Kretzer at around 16 miles an hour on the heavy oil, the shark oil pattern. On the right lane on cheetah, he's throwing it around 19 or 20. So we're really talking two completely different angles and two completely different methods of throwing a bowling ball.
And another open frame. It's almost like our competitors are bowling two completely different games at the same time.
Yeah, that's a good point because that's exactly what it looks like. And right now, this first game is all about big, giant open frames, 2 big splits for Patrick Allen and 2 missed spares by Brian Kretzer.
Both Allen and Kretzer with 2 open frames. The numbers you're seeing look like my scores last night here. Not a compliment.
Boy, understatement.
Oh my God, maybe.
Yes!
Yeah, Hawks.
Celebrate Norwich! A strike! Finally, the whole crowd exhaled. They've been saving that up for about 15 minutes.
That was a long applause for a one-bagger. Wow.
Oh.
Man.
That's why we have them mic'd up.
PA, come on, man.
So PA with our first strike, and it comes in the bottom of the 5th.
Come on, man.
Now a 1-pin game. 3 games, total pinfall. 2 different oil patterns.
A little.
Back-to-back jacks. He's just getting greedy now.
Well, he's starting to get warmed up. He's starting to feel it.
The lead at 9 for PA, and when the PBA on ESPN returns, we'll tell you about Brian Kretzer's TV viewing habits last week and how it relates to his TV appearance today. This is the PBA Live on ESPN. Welcome back to Norwich, Connecticut. Title match of the Go RVing Match Play Championship. Game 1 of 3 between Brian Kretzer and Patrick Allen. A very creative crowd here in Norwich.
I knew Rob Stone. I knew Rob before he had a ham bone. What is that?
Right. Yep. Steve
Friend of
Mahady
yours?
in the house, perhaps. Brian Kretzer bowling 2 completely different games today.
This is what he's doing on the Cheeto oil pattern. This is why it's so important to learn how to throw it straight when you need to. Brian Kretzer playing the first arrow, the 5th board on the right lane. And, boy, talk about 2 different ends of the spectrum. Here he is on the left lane. Ball speed on the right lane around 20 miles an hour. Ball speed on the left on the Shark about 16. 2 completely different lines on 2 completely different oil patterns.
Dramatic differences. So Kretzer has gone spare, spare, open, spare, open. Here he is, bottom of the 6, down 9. Celebrate, Brian! Finally, a strike for BK. We talked to Brian yesterday as we take a look at this strike. And we asked him, what did you get from making the last show, being on TV the last time? He's like, some confidence. I can bowl secure now that my livelihood is in place for next season, being above the cut line. And back-to-back strikes now for Cretcher. We asked him, well, how much did you actually watch of the show? What did he say? I watched just 2 shots and then turned it off at the title match. He said, I don't like to watch when I don't win, when I'm not bowling well, so I turn it off. So instead, he went back to some of his old films, some of his old tapes, going back to his old bowling, and noticed, I was longer. I was more fluid, and brought that with him here to Norwich, doing a little self-scouting. So we had no strikes through the first 4.5 frames, and now 4 in a row.
Nope.
They get 5 in a row between the 2 competitors. There's a 3-bagger for Allen.
What a huge break when you're on a double and you're trying to strike on your worst lane.
Take a look at our bare breakdown between the 2. Patrick Allen, 13 tour titles. Brian Kretzer, again, still in pursuit of his first ever tour title. He's gone 167 events, second longest streak among current exempt bowlers without a title.
That's a good shot.
Don't do it, Rob. Don't do it, Rob.
Hambone! That's the simple pleasures.
Wow, we went from not being able to strike at all to All of a sudden,
6 in a row.
6 in a row for our two players.
Here's Kretzer looking for 3 in a row, bottom of the 8th, down 19.
Pretty good stuff now.
ESPN is your NBA destination tonight, 8 Eastern. Tim Duncan and San Antonio take on Joe Johnson and the Hawks. Then at 10:30, Brandon Roy and the Trailblazers taking on one of my favorites, Steve Nash and the Suns. The NBA special edition on ESPN and ESPN360.com tonight, beginning at 8.
How would you like to have Amare on your team?
Amare. I like how you said that.
Guy is just such a stud. Nice break, just leaving the 4-pin for Brian Kretzer. He's still trying to wait for that left lane to calm down so he can get a really good look. He's locked in on the right lane, which is pretty much the case all week long. The right-handers had no trouble hitting the Cheeto oil pattern. It was the shark oil pattern that was the difference. Right now, just looking to cover a spare. Brian Kretzer trying to dispose of back-to-back future Hall of Famers, in my opinion. Beat Doug Kent to get to this point, and I think Patrick Allen's a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame.
Now, Doug Kent, boy, what a murder's row he had to go through to get here. Took down Norm Duke, who was the 15 seed, Mika Koivuniemi, who was the 18th seed, and then Bill O'Neill, who was the 2 seed, just to get to the semis last night. Great week for Doug Kent. But not good enough to get here to today's championship matches. Allen looking for 5 in a row in the 9th. Seven-pin shy. 5-bagger. Good run.
Yeah, it was a nice run, and throws that one pretty good. Gets to the pocket on his tough lane, only to leave a weak 7. But he liked this one as soon as he let go of it.
Come on. Do what Del says.
Either way.
So Allen gets the spare in the 9th.
And Rob, while we have a moment, the PBA would like to extend its best wishes to PBA charter member Bill Bonetta. Bill, who turned 90 last year, is in the hospital in Fresno, California, dealing with a serious heart condition. We want to send our best wishes out to Bill and the Bonetta family.
Oh, man, good shot here.
Yeah, he was even approached to be the first PBA commissioner, right, back in the late 60s?
Yes, he was. He was inducted in the USBC Hall of Fame in 1968.
Do what Del says.
PA to begin the 10th. He is on top by 9. Again, 3 matches, total pinfall is what separates winner from loser.
Just a bad shot. I mean, on his favorable lane. This one gets wide of target, leaving the 1-3, 6-7 washout.
Slow down. Come on.
Missed the 1, which means he misses the 7 as well.
Tough finish for Patrick Allen. 3 open frames, 185. Brian Kretzer, if he goes strike spare in the 10th frame, will shoot 192, and we'll have a 7-pin advantage going into game 2. But Brian could do a lot more damage with 3 strikes here in the 10th frame. He's making really good shots on that right lane, Rob. That's what he struggled with 2 weeks ago when he had a chance to beat Mike Scroggins in the title match. He did not throw it well by his own admissions, couldn't get it off his hand properly, and ended up still having a chance to tie Mike Scroggins with 3 in the 10th frame. Didn't happen. Right now making really good shots with Brian Kretzer's newfound friend, the straight ball on the right lane.
Yeah, 3 of his 4 strikes on that right lane today.
Now here's the thing, because Patrick Allen had the choice of the starting lane, Brian Kretzer is going to finish 2 out of the 3 games on this right lane because Patrick Allen didn't want any part of the Cheetah Oil pattern. Just a bad look, and that topography on the left side of the lane doesn't allow him to play out where you normally would play on the Cheetah Oil pattern. So with a spare here, Brian Kretzer will have a 7-pin lead going into game 2.
Kicks it on the left hip, drops it down, 192, 185. 7-pin advantage for Kretzer. Through 1, 2 more to roll. When we return, some folks think 2 hands are better than 1. The uptick of 2-hand bowling coming away on the backside. For the 35th time in PBA history, the PBA has found their way to the great state, Connecticut, the Constitution State. We are here in Norwich, Connecticut, and as you all know, bowlers are always looking for a competitive edge, whether it's with their equipment or knowledge of the lanes. But perhaps the biggest splash made lately, at least, is by some guys who have found a true upper hand. It's been called a revolution. Two-handed bowling has gotten a lot of attention lately. Faster speeds and higher rev rates lead to more pinfall, and the bowling world is taking notice. But it didn't happen overnight.
We were almost kind of ridiculed for the way that we bowled as far as bowling with 2 hands, and people were saying we would never make it in bowling. Seeing people jump on the bandwagon, and it's actually comforting to see and nice to see young kids starting it, and hopefully the tradition continues.
Last year, a 2-hander won on the tour for the first time.
You have no idea how good this feels.
So is it a fluke, or is the 2-handed style for real?
Oh yes, I definitely think this is for real, and it's going to be around for a while. That's why USBC coaching has been involved in studying this form for quite some time and developing a curriculum to help teach it for the young athletes across the country. We think there's a great potential for this style, and it could possibly be the style of the future.
Without coaching, we wouldn't be here. Just try to get it natural, because obviously the older you are, the less your body's going to do new tricks, so the movement has to be smooth.
And with more and more kids learning to bowl two-handed, the next generation could be even more exciting.
There aren't very many two-handed bowlers at the highest level in the world, but we have our fair share of wins. So it would be really interesting. There's 4 of us. What happens when there's 400 of us? So it's really exciting to see what's going to happen in the next 10, 15 years.
Now to learn more about two-handed bowling, log on to bowl.com and study that bracket. Brian Kretzer went through 2 two-handed bowlers to get here today, taking down Jason Belmonte and Cassidy Schaub. And Kretzer with a early 7-pin lead over Patrick Allen through 1. Game number 2 of 3 in the finals of the Go RVing Match Play Championship when ESPN's live coverage of the PBA rolls on from Norwich, Connecticut. We welcome you back to the PBA's version of March Madness. The top 64 bowlers were seeded, bracketed, and here we are. Today's title match, it's the Go RVing Match Play Championship. Time now for the winning touch, brought to you by Touch of Gray. Gets rid of some gray, never all. This week's winning touch takes us back to last season's Go RVing Match Play Championship. Chris Barnes taking on Walter Ray Williams Jr. Walter Ray Williams Jr. had a wonderful start in Game 1, dropped the front 9. Game 2, Chris Barnes dropped the front 9, so a big flip in scoring there. And Game 3 was close. Walter Ray Williams Jr. would actually win Game 3, but again, total pins is all that matters. Chris Barnes won it. Our defending champ, Chris Barnes, here joins us now. And what are your thoughts on kind of how match number 1 went here today between these 2 guys?
Well, kind of a tale of 2 cities. Yeah. For about 4 or 5 frames, it looked like the Tuesday night mixers. Marks were hard to come by, but frames 5 through 9, these guys show what they're about, made the adjustments, and made a lot of great shots. So still got a close match. Didn't know what it was going to look like early.
Yeah. Tuesday night mixers. I like that one. And then Chris will join us here for match number 2 in the booth. Also, we remind you to head on over to PBA.com and you can submit your one-a-day fan question of the day to Chris Barnes, who will answer it in the next couple minutes. You ready for that? You're like our one-a-day question go-to guy all season, by the way, Chris. You're looking for that. Pat Omaha may or may not submit a question this week.
It was Pat from Omaha.
Oh,
Rob.
I thought they were from New England.
Hey, and I really want to thank you, Chris, for joining us in the booth because I used to be the second best-looking guy in the booth. Now I'm not even the third. So thanks a lot.
It's a dramatic drop. All right, we begin match number 2. Here's Patrick Allen on the left lane with the Shark oil pattern.
Maybe. Come on, man.
There you go. Good start for PA.
Chris, how tough was it this week, bouncing back and forth between the 2 oil patterns?
Well, I think it's ultimately the toughest one we have now. Last year, you could play the Shark a little bit to the out. Obviously, the way Brian's playing him, that's the way all of us really played him successfully, was from 5th arrow or farther left. So you have to throw it slow, really soft with your speed. Like you mentioned earlier, and on the right lane, you have to be flatter-handed and firmer. It's difficult, and particularly for a player like Brian, whose timing has to change so drastically for him to play straight on one lane and then get his timing really late so he can throw it slow and hook it on the other lane.
Chris, you were the number 4 overall seed, which is essentially in NCAA terms a number 1 seed, and you lost in the opening round. Why did we see so many of the big names, the top seed guys, fall early this week in Norwich?
Well, I think there was a couple of reasons. One, Hey.
Walked away from what he thought was an open frame. Got a little love on the kickback.
Watch the 3-pin as it comes right back out of the back, off the ball.
Are you kidding me?
That's something that Walter Ray would do. Not
little Houdini.
Not Brian Kretzer or Chris Barnes. I mean, that's a Walter Ray shot.
Back to your question, though, we get up here in the Northeast, there's a lot of good players, and the TQR guys got a look at the 2 patterns and had some success on them. And I think we were a little bit slow to pick up on the changes in the 2 lanes. I can't speak for myself. I bowled on a really good high-scoring pair, and Alex Aguiar he bowled fantastic. Shot 800 the last 3.
And we talked at the outset about all the upsets, and you saw 3 of your quote-unquote number 1 seeds, you, Walter Ray Williams Jr., Wes Malott, all knocked out in the round of 64. You see the match is won by lower-ranked seeds, if you will, and it went on all week that way here in Norwich. Here's Patrick Allen, your number 21 overall seed, which is like a 5 or 6 seed in the NCAA tournament. PA working off that strike in the first. I think that's Kretzer still laughing about that strike he got, or the pickup he got in the first.
Patrick Allen better figure out something on this right lane, and he better figure it out in a hurry, because if he doesn't, I think he's going to get run over.
2 strikes on that right lane in match number 1 for PA. He had just 4 overall. Close. And another open frame and a whiff to boot.
Yeah, Randy, I think you're right. The longer Brian bowls in that left lane, the better his look gets, and that's where he really separated himself from Doug in the semifinal match.
And watching the 2 southpaws on this pair yesterday, they basically had nothing on the Cheetah oil pattern. And, Patrick found a way to grind it out, but I don't think that's going to be enough against Brian Kretzer.
See how Allen can rebound here in the third. Back on that left lane where he struck in the first. Left lane's working now.
Yeah, and that's what you would expect him to do on that left lane. But like I said, he better find something on the right lane to be competitive in these next 2 games. Otherwise, I think Brian Kretzer is going to run away and hide from him.
Kretzer is a non-titleist bowling today. Now, including today, there have been 16 times this season, 11 different players, in which a non-titleist has bowled in the TV finals, and 4 of them have won their first titles this season. Bill O'Neill, Tom Smallwood, Anthony Lacaze, and Kelly Kulick. Kretzer trying to join that list.
Chris, and if you're Brian Kretzer right now, you've got to feel like it's your time. You know exactly what's going on with your opponent. You know that all you have to do is get up, and I say all you have to do, but all great players, all the great champions find a way to get it done. Brian Kretzer needs to find a way to get it done, and he needs to get it done today. This is his best opportunity. He said it was his best opportunity last night. And you can see, based on what Patrick Allen has, Brian Kretzer needs to open that door, step through it, and take charge of this match right now.
You saw the graphic. Kretzer, 167 events without a tour title. What's the perception of Brian Kretzer on the tour, Chris?
Well, he came out as a, I know him as a megabuck guy, and he was great from the left gutter. But his comment was that, bowling from the right of the third arrow wasn't real bowling. And so for the first 5 or 6 years, basically, he struggled through the first parts of every block because he couldn't play straight enough. And it's really a credit to him how hard he's worked now and how far into his career he's been when he started to learn how to throw it straight and now make 2 TV shows in a row doing something he couldn't even do 5 years ago. It's pretty amazing.
Re-rack for Patrick Allen, Brian Kretzer with a 30-pin lead here through 3.5.
It's stellar. I got the nut on that lane.
Chris, can Patrick Allen not take something out and go straighter, maybe a weaker ball, go straighter on that lane, try to find a home in between first and second arrow?
It's possible, but he's not going to have much room no matter where he's at. You can take out something and make a blind guess and try and get right on top of it with something really weak, maybe. But the same problem, and we had it last night too. I bowled in the challenge match after that, and it was the same way. There was a wiggle on the gutter. You got real close to it in the front. It hooks.
There you go.
You don't have any left. And then you get real weak, and then it gets down lane. There's still some oil down there. And it's a tough combination without shots, and with only every other frame. About 3 more shots over there that don't strike, and he may not have much wood left.
PA doing some tape work, seeking his 14th tour title. He's won 2 majors, the 09 Tournament of Champions and the 05 World Championship. Patrick Allen down 30 pins, not just in this match, but in this 3-game title match. So when you see the scoreboard right there where he says he's down 30, that is down 30 combined from match 1 and so far here in match 2.
And now he looks like he's got wiggle on the left lane. That looked like a pretty good shot, and the ball just never recovered down the lane.
The part I found hardest about the pattern this week is when you started to struggle on one lane was keeping your rhythm and tempo the same on the opposite lane, and that one just didn't look the same as his previous shots over there.
Chop it.
The eternal optimist yells "chop it" right before he converts the 3-5.
It's reverse psychology. You never get what you ask for anyway.
Absolutely,
so.
yeah, absolutely.
Back-to-back spares for Allen. Deficit now at 32 for him. Here's Kretzer in the 5th. He's gone spare, strike, strike, spare. Was second 2 weeks ago in Columbus at the Eliminator. And has the opportunity here in match number 2 to start distancing himself.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about. And Chris made a great point. I mean, it's pretty impressive that, Brian Kretzer can go from the big, slow hook ball, which is his bread and butter, to that shot that you just saw. Obviously, it takes a lot of practice. His timing does have to change somewhat. And then when that bowling ball gets to the bottom of the swing, the feel of one shot versus the other, the straight ball versus the hook ball, 2 completely different feels.
4th strike.
Now, and he's feeling it, and you know that he's getting real close. He left the weak 10 in that 4th frame. Other than that, he's been money. Brian Kretzer is getting very close to winning his first tournament out here.
Kretzer's lead is at 42 when we return. We'll tell you why Patrick Allen says he's just trying to salvage a season today. This is the Go RVing Match Play Championship live on ESPN. We welcome you back to Norwich, Connecticut. Patrick Allen down 42 pins halfway through match number 2, and here's why.
Well, it's the issue of the cheetah oil pattern playing completely different for Patrick Allen. He's playing around the 11th board on the cheetah. Keep in mind, Brian Kretzer's right at first arrow, which is normally where you play cheetah. And on the left lane, you can see where Patrick is playing the shark oil pattern. That's pretty normal. The big issue, the cheetah oil pattern on the right lane for Patrick Allen.
You saw Patrick Allen with Cretcher looking kind of off camera there. He was actually looking at the monitors of what we just showed our audience, taking in that information. He did a lot of ball work during the break as well.
You know, people are probably wondering that folks that have bowled on cheetah oil pattern and have experience on cheetah oil pattern, why doesn't he move farther left? The reason is because his ball won't hook from there.
Wow. Strike number 3 of game number 2 for PA.
Exactly, Randy. You see an early hook, so if he gets real close to it in the front, it picks up and goes high. But as soon as it goes away and hits that spot on the gutter at 1, 2, 3 at 30 feet to 40 feet, it won't hook off of it. And so he either, like we were talking about earlier, you really need to take a low flare ball and stand right on top of it, or you get a whole bunch of surface and then you go ahead and throw at it pretty early so that you know it's not going to break loose down lane.
Come on, man.
Leaves the 7
man. Use your brain.
PA was 9th here last season. This season, it's been tough for him. He had 2 did not bowls, 5 finishes where he was 50th or higher. He was battling an inflamed, strained patella tendon in his right knee. And Randy, you and I saw him after he won his semifinal match last night, and it was a bag of ice and some Advil nearby. He saw a knee specialist
Way to go.
on Monday, and the specialist said, take Advil all the time. Not just after you're done bowling, take it all the time. Battling an injury bug, favoring that knee, got into some bad habits, but he said, this is as good as I've felt all year, and he's trying to salvage a season this week. For me, this is huge, but he has got a huge deficit to dig out of. Down 42 as Kretzer begins his effort in game 2, 7th frame.
Remember that Patrick Allen only lost the first game by 7. This is a 3-game total pinfall match with a couple of open frames, or excuse me, 1 open frame by Patrick Allen, and Brian Kretzer goes double spare 3-bagger. Right now, it's all about Brian Kretzer, and he is really putting it on Patrick Allen.
Looking for a 4-bagger here in the 8th.
Well, Chris, he's starting to find that left lane now. He made that ball change, and that looked like to be a little bit inside of target. It just laid there.
Yeah, the flat 10 was really good news for him. It got right, and even though it didn't strike, it made it most of the way back.
Sorry, Rob, did you want to say something about the 4-bagger that Brian Kretzer just threw?
No, I'm all right. I'm all right. His lead is at 62. Is that enough for you? You boys. There's more to life than just ham bones in my world. Not much, but a little bit.
A lot of 8.
Yeah, then this could have been 3-7-9 easy. Just leaving the 3-9, and Patrick Allen is in trouble, guys. I mean, he has a bad look on that one lane, and his look, or at least his shot making on the left lane, not so good.
But remember, with this format, you are never out of it. PA had a big lead in game number 1 of his semifinal and said, look, you know, you can't take your foot off the accelerator. Got to keep it going. Speaking of foot on the accelerator, Just 2 more trips for the RV for you and me.
You want me to gas it up?
Please.
You got it.
Yeah, I saw you stole my credit card again to gas it up. All right, next week we are in Long Island, West Babylon for the Geico Mark Roth Plastic Ball Championship. Word is Mr. Roth will be there.
Looking forward to seeing Mark there. Absolutely.
And in the following week, Easter Sunday, the Lumber Liquidators Marathon Open, AMF Country Club Lanes in Baltimore. PA in the ninth. Needs a strike. Can't get the 7 to drop. And the lead continues to accumulate for Kretzer.
Hey, Chris, I know you've been there before. I've been there before, but this is starting to turn real ugly.
This is brutal. He throws good shots on that left lane. Can't strike. In the right lane, it seems like no matter what he tries to do, it either hooks 3 feet too soon or 3 feet too late.
Nice combo.
Yeah. Well, that's the toughest thing about the Cheetah. When the gutter hooks, it's the easiest pattern we bowl on by far. You get the most entry angle. It's the easiest to control. But when that gutter doesn't hook, wow, it becomes the hardest in a hurry.
All right, time now for our More of What Matters fan question of the day. Goes to you, Chris. What do you feel has been your biggest accomplishment in bowling, and what are your future goals?
Well, probably striking in the 10th to win the U.S. Open has still got to be the highlight. Future goals, I still want to win a Masters, a World Championship, and another Player of the Year. You win the Grand Slam and a second Player of the Year. I think that's pretty rare air.
So you're setting the bar pretty low then?
Yeah, not much.
Want. Chris Barnes joining us here in the booth here for game number 2 of 3 of this total pinfall championship. And Brian Kretzer won match number 1 by 7 pins. He has added to that lead substantially. Now looking to crack open a 6-pack here in the 10th. And that run of 5 in a row comes to an end.
Well, I'll tell you what, Brian Kretzer was looking to double in the 10th frame and shoot 260 and really take a huge lead with only 1 game to go. And right here, looks like he misses it just a pinch at the bottom, and it pushed just a little bit too far down the lane.
That was a good break for Allen.
Wow. That would have been a huge break if he'd have missed that. Yeah. You're right, Rob. That was a nice break for Patrick. However, Brian Kretzer's still going to be in the 240s. The best Patrick Allen can shoot is 181 if he strikes out. Huge deficit for Patrick Allen. Not that he's not capable. However, I'm not sure he's got a good enough look to get to his bowling ball to the pocket enough times on the right lane to get back in the match.
Yeah, there's just no evidence so far that he can get, even a couple of boards at the break point to where he can really pierce some shots in there.
Kretzer through the nose to conclude his second game. 241 on top of his 192 from match number 1.
Chris, if you're Patrick Allen struggling on the right lane, you get up in the right lane right now. Do you throw some test shots to try to figure something out for the last game to give it your all?
You have to. You have to.
He's down 77 right now. Working on a spare, trying to make up some ground here in the 10th.
And that was a test there. He moved out to the left and got up against it.
Man, I hope you guys ain't railing me in there too bad.
We'd never do that, Haas.
This is bad. This is bad. This is bad. Not as bad as it gets.
Well, Haas, what are you going to do? Patrick, what are you going to do? You got to do some. Try something, Parts.
Can I make that?
All right, so what's the adjustment now off the 3-pin, Chris?
For me, it's probably a board to a board and a half left for him. Get even closer to it and go with what you suggested. Get as close to that friction as you can. Try and eliminate the variables and hope you can find something a little consistent there.
Here comes another ball change, trying to figure out something on the diabolical cheetah oil pattern for Patrick Allen.
Kretzer with a 433 total pinfall through 2. Allen down 78.
Peel hard.
And that's the issue when you go down and you fall down, something goes straighter. If it doesn't catch that friction in the front, it doesn't catch it in the back either.
Well, Patrick Allen in a world of hurt right now, down 81 pins to Brian Kretzer. Kretzer just one game away from claiming his first ever title on the PBA Tour. Match number 3 when we return to Norwich, Connecticut. The Go RVing Match Play Championship is brought to you by Ebonite, Bowl to Win. By Turbo Bowling Accessories. Put some extra drive into your game. By Atonic. Visit atonic.com/bowl. And by the United States Bowling Congress, the all-new bowl.com, your online source for all things bowling. Log on to bowl.com today. Head on over to PBA.com. Check out Extra Frame, the PBA's online video subscription service. Extra Frame features hours of live competition from PBA events that you can't see anywhere else. And the Bowling Doctor is in the house with each one of those broadcasts. Nobody does it better outside of Randy.
Thanks, buddy.
The Bowling Doctor. All right, speaking of Randy, your thoughts on what Brian Kretzer needs to do here in game number 3 with what seems like a pretty comfortable lead, 81 pins.
Well, right now, Brian Kretzer needs to get a drool bucket because he's salivating and chomping at the bit to absolutely bury Patrick Allen. He knows that Patrick Allen doesn't have a shot to get to the pocket. He's got what seems like an insurmountable lead. And really what he has to do is stay out of his own way. Don't overthink this. Just make the shots. Make good shots. Take one at a time and finish this deal.
And Chris Barnes, if you're Patrick Allen, you're nowhere to be found right now. We can't even find him here on the set or the lanes. What do you need to do here in game number 3 in a come-from-behind situation?
Well, he may have went to find another ball, but if not, then that one they threw there, the last shot that went light, get further left, get right on top of that short pattern, and hope that it picks up for you, and then parlay it into a big string.
All right, our final game of our title match up next from Norwich. Can Brian Kretzer hang on to win his first ever PBA Tour title? Find out with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain in your seats after today's final round to a live ESPN presentation of today's winner. Immediately following the telecast, please remain in your seats for the check and trophy presentation. The PBA Tour merchandise booth will reopen after today's telecast. Pick up the Lumber Liquidators PBA Tour's great selection of sportswear and bowling accessories. Meet today's champions. Autographs will be available at the PBA merchandise booth after the conclusion of today's show. Thank you.
Rob Stone, Randy Peterson, Chris Barnes back here with you, and Patrick Allen just rejoining us. He was gone that entire time. A live shot of him walking back into the arena bay here, and PA down 81 pins in the final game of this 3-game total pin series. And he was doing some scheming and some mechanical work, you have to assume. Comes back with a new ball. Did a little work in the equipment room.
I've never seen a player leave the set for that long. I mean, I'm not so sure he wanted to come back.
Yeah, I thought I heard a car starting up in the background. So PA comes back down 81 pins. Brian Kretzer bowled a 192 and then a 241 last game. Goes way wide right of target.
Are you kidding me? I mean,
and PA just perked up a little bit.
Well, I'm not sure I'd perk up after one shot, Rob, but I mean...
I'm trying to sell here, Randy.
I understand that. This is where you need to have your foot on the accelerator and you need to pound your opponent into submission, not flag the head pin and get 3 off the right.
The one thing he's been really great at in this whole match is coming out of those commercial breaks, he's been bang, bang. And there's a lot of things that go through your head when you're thinking about winning your first title. And it's easy for you to change your focus.
Can I just point out one thing, Rob? The 10th frame for Brian Kretzer, he went light, then he came back and went right through the nose. And I thought that was very interesting last 2 shots that he threw on that left lane. I wonder how that's going to play out because he just flagged the head pin and then just went through the nose and got a total of 7 in the first frame.
And here's PA, who returned literally just seconds ago from offset. What can he do in the first? We were just told that PA was practicing on the practice lanes off the set during that break. Different lanes, different looks, different feels, smells of desperation.
Same old pattern. He was taking that ball that he made the change with.
Same way, right?
Right. He was taking the ball that he made the change with in the 10th frame of the last game and trying to figure out what he needed to do to get a look, and then just lack of concentration to get up and flag the 10 pin.
They're bowling.
I mean, I'm sorry to say this is just the first 2 frames of this first game is just bad bowling.
Unreal.
I mean, I know that there's a lot going on mentally, trying to figure it out. But, you know, when Patrick Allen needs it most, he made a great shot. Didn't strike, leaves the Swisher 10, and then just gets up and flags it.
And he's still talking to himself. Here he is in the second.
Ball change on both lanes now. Boy, and I tell you what, right now, PA wants to just climb under a rock. I've been there. Chris Barnes has been there. We've all been in this situation. And I got to be honest with you, you can't wait for this game to get over with.
I don't need it.
Well, I think Brian's thinking the same thing. You just can't wait for the frames to go by fast enough to be able to, to be mathematically locked in. If that left lane starts to go away, he's definitely going to want it to happen in a hurry.
The pain is even worse. It's amplified because it's a 3-game pain. It's not just one and done like on a normal Sunday. All right, you have one bad game on Sunday. Great, get on out of town. Here you're sitting here enduring 3 in a row. So PA had a 185 in game 1, a 167 last game. Here's Kretzer finding the pocket in frame number 2.
And Chris, I think the good news for Brian Kretzer is he gets to finish on that right lane.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got that locked in. I look for him here to move about 3 left.
Brian Kretzer, the native of Dayton, Ohio's 9th season on the tour, 7th singles appearance on television. The 6th was 2 weeks ago in Columbus when he finished as the runner-up to Mike Scroggins. Here he is, just a few frames away from his first PBA Tour title. And
really?
Nice.
Really? This is like a Saturday Night Live weekend update segment we like to call Really. Really? Throws a great shot on a strike, trying to win his first title, leaves a solid 8. Really?
I'm with you. Patrick Allen, the whole day has been really for him. Really? I'm going to miss that single pin? Really? I'm going to miss that pocket? Really? Bowling? Thank you, bowling. Kretzer curls that one in to drop the spare.
Thanks for playing along.
I'm with you.
That was
I
good.
know the skit. Tina Fey.
Seth Meyers.
Yeah.
All right, Patrick. Come back with a good shot. Move a half a board left from the last shot you throw on this lane. Throw a strike. Figure out the left lane. Put some heat on Brian Kretzer. Make him think about it.
The good news, he's pulled within 2 more pins. He's now only down 79 from the 81 pin deficit to start game 3. Oh, goodness gracious.
Really?
There you go.
Yeah,
It's fun to play,
Chris
isn't
is
it,
now
Chris?
involved. Yeah.
Right?
God, talk about getting kicked when you're down. I mean, this is just awful. What an awful place to be. This guy has worked as hard as anybody on trying to turn this season around and looked at this opportunity today to really salvage it. Obviously, he's made as many changes as you could possibly make on this oil pattern. Now he does finally get to the pocket. Can't strike.
Oh my, yes, wow. Yes.
You know, if he would have said really, then it would have
Start
been
Clinic 101.
It would have been the ham bone of really, and I don't know where I'm going with that.
Horrible. Or the Bull 101.
Bull
In
you.
the 4th.
There you go.
Allen down 80.
Heck of a shot.
Just gotta know where to hit him sometimes.
Yeah. Wow. Hey, it's a strike. Take a positive from it. Try to string something together.
He had just 3 strikes in match number 2. 1 so far here. I'm sorry, in game number 2, and here in game 3, that's his first strike coming in the 4th. Kretzer with a strike in the 2nd. Here he is in the 4th. So 2 strikes for Kretzer here in our final game of this total pinfall series. Thanks go out to Bob Larson and Ken Fontaine, the co-proprietors here at Norwich Bowling and Entertainment Center. Always put on a good show. Always very welcoming.
Very accommodating.
And accommodating to the ESPN team.
And the players. Players love coming here. They love the bowlers.
Through the nose is Kretzer.
Chris Barnes, bad shot for Brian Kretzer, or has he lost the left lane?
It looked I think that was a bad shot. He moved in on the last shot, moved another 2 or 3 left, got it to where it would push across the head pin again, and it did go flush. I think that one just got away from him a little bit. I'm looking at the Cats. Cat showed it was 2 boards inside of target.
Yeah, you know, I was going to say it looked left, but now that I'm looking at the Cats information, it's verifying that it was left of target. So I'm going to go with that.
So Kretzer now just 5 frames away from his first PBA Tour title. So he had a great line to us yesterday. He said, this is really going to put a damper on my amateur career if at age 50 I finally win.
Hey, Haas.
Come on,
Don't count him out.
Haas.
Guys, if he finds something.
Stay alive, Haas.
Let's see. Find something on that left lane. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, all right, he finds something on the left lane. He strikes out. He could shoot, what, 258? Go ahead, Rob.
He's got a chance. ESPN's coverage of Major League Baseball spring training begins tomorrow afternoon, 1 Eastern. The Yankees taking on the Phillies. Derek Jeter, Ryan Howard. Hopefully in action for that one.
I'm so calling my buddy Shane Victorino to get tickets for that. Clearwater, baby. Clearwater, Florida.
Yeah, Tuesday, the Phillies take on the Tampa Bay Rays, America's team, in Clearwater.
Call Pat Omaha from New England.
There we go, Haas. Three in a row for PA.
He can strike out for 258. Brian Kretzer is in the 180s right now. We still have game. Let's see what happens. I'm going to give Brian Kretzer the strike right here on the right lane. But what's going to happen on the left lane on the Shark? Again, clairvoyant as usual. And all right, so what's going to happen now in the Shark oil pattern left lane? You see him get a nice break right here, tripping 4-7-10 late.
Going to have to make a move on that lane now, too.
All three of his strikes coming on the right lane. The left lane has been an open frame, 9 spare, 7 spare here in game number 3 for Kretzer. Again, the Shark oil pattern on the left lane.
Guess what? Patrick Allen still has life. And it's gone from Patrick not having a chance, not hitting the pockets, all of a sudden stringing 3 in a row. He's hit the pocket every shot but one. Now Brian Kretzer's lost the left lane, is in danger of another open frame, which would drop him into the 170s. Patrick Allen still has a 258 possibility.
Oh, what a pickup! We will remember that one. Maybe the highlight of his match thus far.
Wow. 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 When Brian Kretzer needed it most, he steps up and makes the 3-6-7-10. What a huge, huge shot.
Just when Allen was given a little life, Kretzer drops that huge spare in the 7th. Now here is Allen looking for 4 in a row, bottom of the 7th. Down 60 pins.
How about that for a turn of events? You think BK is going to have an open, be down to 48. PA can throw a double and be under 30, down to 28 pins. BK makes the spare, throws his own rally killer right on top of PA. Ring 7.
Nice having you over.
Yeah, thanks for playing. Have that for dinner.
You know, and it's too bad that I guess this was his last option, that he went to it this late in the match, because, again, he's only missed the pocket one time in 7 frames when he went to this ball change. Well, I should take that back. One of those was a Brooklyn, but, I mean, at least now he's got life on that right lane. He had no chance before. It's too bad he didn't go to this earlier and make a match of this.
Yeah, option.
Option like
6-3.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's a testament to his versatility that left-handers don't get a lot of credit for it. The reason why he's been the best left-hander on tour the last 5 or 6 years is because he moves around on the lane better than anyone on this side.
And he's a good shot maker. I mean, he can play the lanes a lot of different ways. He can get in and hook it. He can throw it straight, keep his hand up the back. He can go around it and create some tilt. And he's a shot maker.
Here's Kretzer, bottom of the 8th, on top by 61 pins. Getting closer to tour title number 1.
Nice shot. Nice shot, Brian Kretzer. That's the kind of shot that you're supposed to throw when you win your first ever title.
And this victory for Kretzer will help him move on up the Player of the Year points list. 16 points he'll get for winning here on top of his 8, gives him 24. He will be now tied for 7th on the Player of the Year list. There's Chris Barnes, who's joining us in the booth right now, 24 points behind Bill O'Neill. Again, only 2 events left on the tour this season. Next week, we are in Long Island. After that, Baltimore.
Great shots.
Nice for you. Love you. I did it, Bill.
And with that, Brian Kretzer has sealed it up. Tour title number 1 heading to Dayton.
Well deserved. Brian Kretzer worked really hard at making the changes necessary to win out here. Very well deserved. And it couldn't have come at a better time, Chris. He was on the bubble for the cut line. He makes the show 2 weeks ago that gets him inside the exempt cut line, and then follows up with another great week. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. What did he say?
That does me a lot of good today. Not. wouldn't beat nobody either.
Patrick Allen having fun. At least he's enjoying himself now.
That's all right. Come on.
Come on, 7-pin. Really?
Back to that.
Sorry, CB. I didn't mean to reel you there.
When all this time I had a chance to just throw him right under the bus.
Yeah.
You know?
You had 2 games to absolutely bury him.
You
and
better hurry up.
Never took advantage of him. Hey, there's still time.
Plenty of time left. PA takes care of the 7-pin.
Here's your chance, Chris. You better get him now.
Brian Kretzer.
I'm not going to do it.
He is already
Take the high road. I'm not an East Coast guy.
Number 1. We'll wrap it up when we return to Norwich. The Go RVing Match Play Championship is brought to you by Go RVing. Visit GoRVing.com for a free video. Go affordably. Go RVing. By Touch of Gray. Gets rid of some gray, never all. By Golden Corral's Great American Seafood Tour. Crab cakes, coconut shrimp, and tilapia, all for under $10. And by What a Day, Men's 50 Plus Advantage, the multivitamin with more of what matters. Brian Kretzer, 63 pins better than Patrick Allen. He wins his first tour title. Time now for the Geico Championship recap. Randall.
Boy, it was all about Patrick Allen struggling on the right lane. You know he likes the shark pattern. He's won on the shark oil pattern, and he starts off pretty decent on that pattern until that big washout. Now, Brian Kretzer was locked and loaded all day on the right lane. And you got a sense going into game 2 that Brian Kretzer, well, it was just going to be his day. He gets up and throws a double and then follows it up with a 5-bagger to shoot 241. Patrick Allen can only shoot 167, ends up missing the 3-9 spare. So going into the third game, Brian Kretzer's got what seems like an insurmountable lead, and he takes care of that in the last game to win his first ever title.
Brian Kretzer goes 167 events without a title until today. Tour title number 1 for Brian Kretzer. We'll see you next Sunday at 2 Eastern on ESPN. For Chris Barnes, Randy Peterson, and our entire crew, I'm Rob Stone. So long from Norwalk.